Mr. Timothy said, don't work in silos. Ask questions where you don't understand. I'm sure you have a friend who has a friend who has a whole village behind them. You also know people within the same industry. There are structures put in place like associations and guilds that are there. You can ask. And also you can do your own research by Googling or even just going back to even document things that have been done before. So don't make hasty decisions and do not be afraid of saying no if you feel like the value is not the person who's giving you a certain amount is not giving you value for in return to what you're giving them. So don't be afraid of saying no. Also know the industry structures and also know the industry price lists because some content has price list. For example, like music, there's cost per stream. Know what is the industry standard, what is Boomplay offering me, what is Spotify giving me, what is iTunes giving me. So make yourself accustomed to that. There's also other things that you can do for shows. What are promoters giving people to perform? What are, what amount are they selling merchandise for? Because I mean, music is not just making music and sitting pretty and saying, yes, I'm talented and this can work. No, it's a business, so run it as a business. So in terms of price list, yes, our music industry is not very organized. It's not as organized as the West or as organized as the East. However, we are somewhere. So make that effort in terms of learning what are the industry standards and what is happening around you. And then that will help you make informed decisions.
Great matter. Well, still at that, are we doing enough in the area of intellectual property? And what would be your comment?
We have not scratched the surface.
Enumerate further.
We have not scratched the surface because, as I said, our industry is not organized. If you go to the West, there are music labels. You hear of Sony, Universal, Warner. If you come to Africa, everybody and their family members are producers, they are their own labels. I'm sitting in my own bedroom, I am my own producer, I am my own artist. So the music industry is not organized. And we have some structures in place, especially from policy. The Copyright Act was amended and assented in 2019. Who knows that here? We're all creatives, right?
We know.
Nani anajua? Joel, wewe, you are not allowed to say that. Nani anajua? Only one person, and we are all creatives. We were using the 2001 Copyright Act, but now it was amended and ascended in 2019. However, there are still loopholes with the Copyright Act that we have. I'm sure I mean, only one person has raised their hand. So they don't know what the policy says. They don't know what the policy protects. They don't know if somebody infringed into my content, how am I supposed to go against guarding that? How am I supposed to be paid? If somebody doesn't pay me, what do I do next? There's also need for education. We are lacking big time in education and financing. We always say that, the Nigerians, the radio stations are playing Nigerian music, they're playing Tanzanian music, and they're not playing Kenyan music. It's because there's demand, the demand and supply is imbalanced. Allow me to give one small analogy. All of us have eaten ugali at one point or the next, right? Senior. So you go to a supermarket and you're looking for one brand, let's say Soko. Looking for Soko. Soko is your own, you love the brand Soko for your ugali. And you miss Soko in that supermarket. So the next big thing will be Hostess. So you take Hostess not because you're loyal to Hostess or not because you love Hostess, it's because Hostess is available. And that is what happened to our music industry. We allowed our audience to be swayed by Hostess, in this case is Nigerian music, Tanzanian music, because it was readily available in your face, in your kiosk, in your supermarket, Mama Mboga, all of them have Hostess, and that is what happened. However, the problem was there is no funding. No brands are willing to fund the creative industry, and no individuals are willing to fund the creative industry. So yes, we barely scratched the surface. Sorry. However, it doesn't mean that something is not happening. Brands like Boomplay have invested in the music industry. We are doing co-production with artists. brands like I'm sure Sarah Hassan also is investing in the industry. She's doing her own thing, and also she's creating jobs while at it. So yes, we've not scratched the surface, but we're not all lost.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sarah, just to voice on the issue of IP, what would you tell an artist who is seated here and is looking into the future of the creative economy as their main hustle, not a side hustle?
I would say try and keep a percentage of your products. It is something that you have come up with. This is your child. Try and, as much as possible, to keep a percentage of it, just so that in the future, if there's any money to be made or anything in the future, then you have a stake. Come on, a sequel. If you've sold all the rights, then a sequel, you don't have to be called because it is no longer your project. But then if like a part two, if you still have some rights, then they will have to call you. So I would say try and sort of educate yourself in terms of intellectual property. And I think from that then it's much once you understand that, then it's much easier to make a more informed decision.
Helen, what are some of the solutions towards the issue of intellectual property, product ownership in the creative sector?
I'd say one thing right now, information is out there. So some of us who are struggling to get information to understand how intellectual property works, we can just get to access it. And we know services to artists. Like for me, my lawyer that supports model management is a pro bono lawyer who supports art models anytime they need someone to consult when they're having a problem or when they're not able to go through a contract. Because when you're given a job, what we do, we make a mistake, is we sign the contract immediately, the same day you are given, and you don't even know what you're signing. You as an artist or as the person who is going to look for that job, you have a right to go home with that contract, even stay with it for a month. Tell your client to give you time to go through the contract to understand what you're getting yourself into. Be patient and know that if that chance is the chance that it's supposed to take you out, it's going to wait for you. Don't be quick to sign off your talent, because one thing as artists, we are the talent, we are the brands, because once you get to understand your value, no one is going to put you down because you are able to state what matters to you. So one thing I'll say is that we need to be strong in what we believe in as artists. We need to be strong in our brands and just believe in ourselves, because that is one thing we don't do as artists. We need to believe in the content that we are producing. We need to believe in the content that you're giving clients out there.
Thank you.
Sorry, Bana Timothy.
Yes.
Let me just add intellectual property. You know, we're using jargons over here, and I'm seeing very many young people. Intellectual property is the law that protects your content. None of we have title deeds for land, we have intellectual property for content. So I just wanted to clarify that.
That's very correct. And while at that, any product ownership and funding go hand in hand. Will you talk about funding in the creative sector and why it's important, why we should be able to connect funding and partnerships?
For content creators, it's blood, sweat, and tears. You know, we enjoy seeing crime and justice. We enjoy listening to Mr. Ali, but we don't know what goes on behind the scenes and who is behind the scenes making this product come to light. So it's blood, sweat, and tears, and this blood, sweat, and tears has to go hand in hand with money. And how do the creative industry access this money? There's a lot of initiatives like by the government, studio machinani, where you can go and record your songs, and I think you just pay a minimal fee. There's also brands that are willing to put in the work. Safaricom have put in the work with Safaricom Base. Boomplay have invested into the music industry. We're now supporting artists, and also just connect or talk to people in the industry. You don't need to know it all. Don't think that just because you are starting and your sound is different, you don't need advice from other people. Now, these people who are looking to invest in the creative industry, it's a business for them. So don't just say, "Mi na kama msanii sunigedo." nobody will give you money. You have to put in the work. You have to research. You have to put a proposal. This is what I'm looking at, and this is my plan, and this is how much money I need. And you, as a business, this is the return on investment that you will get. So partnerships and funding, yes, they go hand in hand. However, one is separate from the other. Because partnerships, it can be me and Sarah, we have a project together. I'm the money lady, she's the creative, right? So we come together. That's our partnership. She's bringing something to the table, and I'm bringing something to the table. So how do we split the rights for this particular project? We also have to understand that. Is she going to get master right and publishing? Am I just going to get publishing alone? Am I also going to get master right? So always also go through your contracts and see, is it a joint venture? Is it a partnership? Or is it just somebody decided to, because of their love of the creative industry, they want to put in the money. So always understand this.
For these key products coming to Africa and looking for content, knowing very well that Kenya has so many stories that have not been told. What is it that the government need to do, and what is it that artists ought to do? I start with you, Sarah.
I would say first and foremost research to know what it is that they want. Do they want, in terms of film, do they want romantic comedy? Do they want more drama? Do they want, I think, and preparation. Preparation is key. When the opportunity comes, you need to be prepared. Because if it comes and you're not prepared, the opportunity will miss you. So what we need to do, we need to be prepared. If it's in terms of script or whatever, we just need to be prepared. And number two, I would say, sort of like, I think this is in the Kenya Film Commission stance, which is policy, just to make it easier for when they come to collaborate. Then there's incentives for them to keep coming back and bringing more um, films and projects in Kenya. I think those are some of the few things that we
Okay.
need to do.
Martha, would you want to add what are some of the challenges and what you think government need to do to create an enabling environment for the creative sector?
The government needs to make up their mind because we have a policy in place, but it has a lot of loopholes. There are no proper structures to support the industry. So the government is they are driving the bus, but behind, they are sitting in front, but behind, we are missing out as creatives and as industry stakeholders. So the government needs to create strategies and systems and structures in place that will support the good work that they are doing in terms of policy. And they also need to invest in the creative industry. Creative industry is one of the industries that lacks funding most of the time. Because I mean, you want to be a DJ, you want to be a musician. It's not tangible really. And it's very lucid. You know, today you're trending, tomorrow you're not trending. So you can't say that I will make content and I will be a hit and I will trend. You know, it's very lucid. So the government needs to make up their decision, their mind, sorry, based on that.
Maybe just to follow up question to what you just said. Should we encourage our artists to come up with products for trending or for wealth creation?
It's a balance because don't box a creative. I always say, forgive me for this, guys. Creatives are not normal. They're not normal human beings. So don't treat them like normal human beings. normal human beings in this sense. I'm not saying that when Kichama, you have something wrong with you. I'm just saying your thought process is not the same with me. Yeah, I'll sit down with you in a meeting, I'll see the numbers. You know, me, I see numbers with my eyes. You know, zero here, zero there, zero. But you're seeing, oh, is zero in a rhyme now, Nero, and then tunaenda kwa hero. You know, as in your creative process is very different. So don't box creatives in that box that yes, wear a suit, come to a meeting. If you can't do that as a creative, get somebody who is in your camp or somebody in your your team to go and present that. So yes, creatives are let creatives be creatives.
That sounds great. And maybe you need to touch on when you are talking about money, talk about the CMOs or examples of MCSK, Frisk, among others. What role they play and how these creatives ought to engage.
Timothy, I can neither confirm nor deny. But well, you are allowed to be a part of two CMOs. CMOs are collective
Management
management
organization.
one international CMO. Why is that? Because your local CMO collects for you in your local jurisdiction, for example, in Kenya, and your international CMO collects for you outside of Kenya. Because your song, we've all had like songs being played in somewhere like Mauritius. I'll give you an example. You all know Aroboy, right? Aroboy, we know him. He logged on to our platform and he was surprised to know that people listen to his music in Mauritius of all the places. So that gave him, that push to go and ask his CMO, hey, you guys, are you collecting my money in Mauritius? And am I making money in Mauritius? So yes, CMOs, they are important actually. And if you're not part of a CMO, you need to be part of a CMO because they're the ones who are in charge of collecting your money. Yes, they have their own issues. Yes, they've not tightened the screw here and there. And with the appointment of Dr. Ezekiel, maybe we'll see something new. But yes, as a creative, you should be part of a scene.
Helen, tell us, and before Helen, I would like to invite one of our eminent panelists, that is June Chepkeme, to join us on the stage. Karibu. Okay, so Helen, you may proceed and support these creatives and to ensure that we have a fair playing field for the sector because the creative sector, just like agriculture, manufacturing, and any other, we play in that league and we would like to see ourselves recognized to that level.
Before I even comment on what the government's supposed to do, I would like to appreciate the creatives first because during COVID, the reason why everyone was tuning in just to be safe because most of them were working so and they even realized that they can stream or work from home. So that is something that we got to adapt to COVID. And I would say that right now when you're going to school to do normal studies, now as a creative you can access digital skills so that you can be able to grow your brand. And one thing that I would appreciate the fact that right now creatives are sending themselves out there just to be educated and to understand how to push this brand without even just sitting down and waiting for a manager to do that for them. And one thing I would say, looking at the governmental policies that are being set for the creatives, one thing creatives don't even know these policies exist. Why? It's either this information is not being channeled to the right direction, or the people that are supposed to channel it are not doing it in the right way. Because if you're there and you're complaining about an event or not being paid, you don't even know who to turn to. You don't even know who was the organizer of the event. One, and you're an artist and you are there, you performed. How are you going to start claiming your money if you don't even understand how the industry works? So as a creative, before you even decide to go to any gig or to sign up for anything, do research on who is giving you this job, who are the sponsors, who are the partners. Because one thing, we don't ask questions. Unaambiwa kesho kuna gig, utapatikana saa ngapi unatokea. Hata ujui unalipwa ni bure. Like you don't even know who you're performing to, who you are giving this content to. So creatives, yani I'll tell you one thing, ask questions. If someone is not answering you, then that is not your client. because they know one thing. Once you start asking those questions, they know you are serious about your products.
Thank you. We've now been joined by June, and I'd like June to introduce herself briefly before we delve into innovation and technology.
Hi, mko poa? Mmefurahi ama mmeboeka? Nani ameboeka? Hakuna, si ndio? Great. I think I'm not new to this crowd, but I'll briefly introduce myself. June Chepkemei. I head marketing and corporate communications at Konza, Technopolis Development Authority. I'm also a founder of Lelesta Fashion House. That's a marketplace that supports creatives in the fashion space to be able to showcase their products. And we do this by hosting annual fashion shows, and through our marketplace online, we allow creatives to sell their products. And I'm proud to say that Swahili Pot is our home, because a majority of the fashion designers and talent management firms are actually based here, and they have worked with us before, including the government through the commission. And so I know if I was to ask this crowd, about 70% would actually know me. But you asked me to introduce myself, but allow me to speak up from what she was discussing about creatives and artists knowing your space. By the way, we started the Creative Association, and again, about 70% of the membership of that association are actually based here. So if you'd like to join that association, get in touch with Helen so that we can together push this conversation to the next level. So you are an artist, you are a creative, you perform in a gig that was organized by maybe a management company or an agency. One thing that I would like to encourage you, please pick a struggle. Pick meaning, pick a struggle. Do not involve yourself in the relationship between the sponsor and the organizers of the event. That you as creatives are actually jeopardizing the relationship of those who are sponsoring you, because you are getting into the politics of the management firms. I'll give an example. We hosted the creatives who performed in an event that was organized by a firm. Now that firm has not remitted your payments, isn't it? You allow yourself to be used to attack the sponsor. That sponsor pay us. Yet who is supposed to pay you is the company that recruited you. Do not be used as a weapon. Because what you're doing, you're spoiling the brand of the artists and the creatives community. And that is why the organizations are shying away from dealing with the artists and the creatives directly, because they do not know how to manage you. You can easily get out of control and you jeopardize the relationship. I was just speaking whatever I found out having discussing.
Okay, June, thank you very much, and I'm back to you again. I would like you to discuss briefly the convergence between technology and innovation vis-a-vis the cultural space and the creative economy.
Great. I would like to start with to state that technology innovation is not a synonym for ICT. Nirudie. Taaluma teknolojia sio jengine ya kusema ICT, si ndio? What does that mean? It means that every single thing you do, from your performance, from your painting, visual arts, from your whatever it is that you do as a creative, technology comes to amplify. Utatumia technology kuileta to the next level. For example, in the fashion industry, you are a designer. Once you design, you leverage technology even to standardize. Unatumia teknolojia kuhakikisha standards zako za kudesign ziko consistent, zinafanana na kuweka standards. Na unatumia teknolojia kuuza, you post it online and sell. So you need that technology. But then beyond that, you have to innovate around it. Waweza sema kwa mimi sasa niko na application ya kusaidia wasanii wenzangu watumie teknolojia kwa fashion design. Kwa mfano, ama you painting, tumia teknolojia ku endeleza hiyo taaluma yako. That is the convergence between technology and your skill, and therefore do not sit back and say mimi si mtu wa ICT, kwa hivyo siwezi jihusisha na innovation ama mambo ya taaluma. It is an enabler, it is not an end.
My mic is off. You can hear me now? Yeah, so how do we leverage on ICT to access audiences and grow?
Haya, ni njia kipi tunaweza kutumia teknolojia kuwafikia wale ambao tunataka kuwafikia, audiences, customers? A couple of ways. Ya kwanza ni kama wewe msanii unaweza kujiunga na mwenye anaelewa teknolojia kama Odipo pale akusaidie kupost hizo project zako online, si ndio? Kwa sababu yeye anaelewa jinsi ya kuzifanya, ama kutafuta customers online. So first of all, you do not have to know it, you can partner. Hiyo ni njia ya kwanza. Ya pili, learn basic ICT skills. Jifunze jinsi ya kutumia teknolojia kama msanii ili uweze ku showcase usanii yako. The third one is just join associations. Jiunge na wataalamu wa hiyo sekta, wasanii wenzako, ili kutumia teknolojia kuendeleza usanii yenu. And most importantly, elewa ni bodies gani zimewekwa na serikali kama Kenya Films, jinsi wanaweza kukusaidia kujiendeleza. Just ukienda online na Google hiyo kitu unafanya, how do I, kwa mfano, how do I showcase my poetry skills? How do I showcase, na hata Google siku hizi iko na Kiswahili, enda ni jinsi gani naweza kuendeleza usanii wangu. So that's how you can leverage technology to push yourself to the next level.
Martha, the media landscape has totally changed because of technology. How would you advise a creative who is seated here and is looking forward to connecting to local and international audiences?
In 2020, nobody was ready for COVID. We were all smooth sailing, enjoying our shows and enjoying being paid from shows, because artists were actually earning more money from shows than any other platform. But we realized that, the shows, we can't do shows. The country is closed. So what do we do next? So innovation or innovative ways were created. Now we have live. You can sell your merchandise, which is called merchandising. You can do small videos. You can be your own content creator. Your music or even your content in general can be used for shows. You can use your laptop, go on a Zoom meeting and close a deal on Zoom. We don't have to have a meeting about another meeting. So it's we've seen technology bringing out that aspect of, yes, you're a creative, but you don't need to box yourself with one way of doing things. So there's a lot of innovations on the way, and also now people don't really need to do shows. They can actually do a live show, and it is a show. So yeah, I think that would be my comment for
Okay. Sarah, I would like you to briefly enumerate on the importance of co-production between artists, both locally and internationally. Why it's important, what you will encourage a creative who is seated here and is looking forward to.
Okay, let me even connect that with technology. Same thing with social media. We are able to get to people who before hatungeweza kuwafikia. Kwa hiyo na social media kuna Instagram, IGTV, kuna TikTok, kuna Reels. And in terms of partnership, vile alikuwa amesema unaweza kushikana na mtu, someone who knows how to use a camera. So hili poto kuna classes that say the editing, how to use a camera. So if you want to go, unaweza ende ujifunze. But then for partner, then it's much easier, because then you partner with one person who knows how to use a camera. And then nowadays, hata si lazima ikuwe camera like high tech. Nowadays, you can use your phone. Even speaking as an actor, because of technology and because of COVID, they stopped doing in-person auditions. So siku hizi kila wanafanya ni wanakutumia script, wanakwambia self tape. So all you need to do is maybe get a tripod like this. Kama uwezi, basi pachukua rafiki yako akushikie, and you just film it with your phone. And so partnerships, something like that, you can start even small like that. And then in terms of social media siku hizi, unaweza fanya video ndogo ndogo if you're a comedian, just to showcase your talent. Kwa sababu you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. And I'll even give you an example. There's an actor who we act with on Crime and Justice. Kuna hii inaitwa Theatre Thursday for actors. I'm sure mnaijua, si ndio? If you're an actor, social media. So on Instagram. So wanaweka a monologue or something from a play or a script, and then you do it. You just film it with your phone and then you post. Akaonekana hapo na casting director and was called for an in-person audition. Just from that, he was not doing it to audition or anything. He was doing it because of the anapenda kuact. So akasema acha basi ni participate, and from that came onto the show, and from that akaenda from having acting nothing, hapo ashaifanya show yoyote nothing, akakuja straight to one of the big people on Crime Justice. So with social media, you never know who is going to watch. So productions, partnerships can start on an individual basis like that. Kama mimi najua kuata, kama mimi ni model and I know Haley can use a camera, ama fanya sound, and then now you can partner as a company. So kama mnaweza pata tuseme pesa kidogo, and then you do a proper production, say a short film. And then from there, something like Just in Time and Plan B, I partnered with Loladi from Nigeria. From there, you get to learn. One of the key benefits of co-production is learning, because now you understand and have a greater appreciation of what this person does. Ukiona amebeba hiyo camera siku nzima, ama ukiona huyo ameshika lines the whole day, you gain a greater appreciation. Unajua mali mtu anafanya kazi vizuri. So first and foremost, there's learning. Two, you build each other up. Because if you post it, depending on where you want to post it, be it YouTube, be it TikTok, be it showcases both your skills. If you are partnered with the cameraman, it showcases his skills as a cameraman. It showcases your skills with whatever it is that you are doing. So I would say co-productions are very key. It can be on an individual level, it can be on a company level, but I think they're key.
How do we create bankable content, especially in the digital space?
In the digital space, first and foremost, I would say consistency. Watu ambao wako social media ni wengi hapa najua, and you know how you get followers is by being consistent. Now also, you know your followers. You know what they like from you. When you talk about post videos of fashion, continue doing that consistently. I'll give you an example of someone I'm sure you know, someone like Njugush. Njugush alianza vipi? Si akifanya tu video zake kwa social media. Kidogo kidogo, what happens? Brands start seeing that followers wako wame-engage. Kama wewe ni comedian wame-engage, kama wewe ni mtu wa fashion wame-engage huko kwa comments kabisa, wanasema you know, if nimevaa nguo from Haley, wanasema where did you get that outfit from? You start creating traffic to mtu ambaye hapo anamjua, and hata kama ni one or two, because that's how it starts, and then you become consistent, and then brands start saying, so I can pay this person kuniadvertisia product yangu ambayo iko in their line of work. So I would say leveraging social media, with that it's just a matter of being consistent and knowing what it is that you're doing. If it is fashion, if it is acting, if it is, you can concentrate on that.
Helen, tell us about packaging your product and for purposes of gaining access to the market.
I'll use an example of us as models. We have a lot of categories in modeling, and when a model comes to any management or they're able to be trained, it's key to know which category they belong into, so that as they're starting to go out there to release their pictures and to go to clients to negotiate, they know which client is in their line. Because I'll say, we have like fashion modeling. Fashion modeling is where models are used as mannequins to sell products, and we have beauty pageants, whereby this is where we end up having Miss World, Miss Kenya, whereby as a beauty queen you one thing I would like to emphasize. As artists, whether a musician, whether a model, whether a manager, let's be keen in how we want to be presented out there. We have a lot of fashion houses out here waiting for you to approach them so that they can collaborate with you and just be able to sell your brand out there. But if you don't go out there to look for them, they don't even know you exist. So let's use our fashion designers or managers out there to help us push the brand that we have, because I believe that for me, I'm a product of collaboration, and I've reached here because of the collaboration that I've made in my line of work until to where I am. So if you get to understand that value and that worth of collaborating, then we're in the right space.
Thank you. Martha, in the creative sector, we are considering our creative economy like any other sector. How do we ensure that we attract direct investments into it?
I'll give a small example. We all know ethic, right? Number we know we know that song, right? How they started off is they created that song and shot through a phone, somebody's phone. I mean, they were in the hood, so they shot the video using somebody's phone. And right now, Ethic is signed to one of the major labels, Universal. So how is that transition, right? You need to position yourself, work ethic, and also just know how to leverage what you have. That is your content, your IP, to put yourself in the global market. Now, Sarah has just said that she collaborated with an artist, an actor from Ghana. How do you meet these people? Calligraph is always saying or always posting that I spoke to Mr. Easy, or I reached out to Nani, what's his name? Sakodi on social media, or maybe DM. For you to access Sarah, just DM her. Yeah, you know her social media handle. Just DM. Yes, really, they read these DMs. You think that they don't? Yes, DM them. They read these things, right? But of course, still DM high cuties. It has to be purposeful, right? So use the access that you have at your level to access these people. They're not. Yes, I know to you as somebody who looks up, even to me as somebody who looks up to an artist at a high level, we see them as demigods. But guess what? They are humans. Ukimchuna anachunika. So reach out to them. Use the access that you have at your level to reach these people. Maybe sometime, maybe your brother or somebody in your family knows somebody who knows somebody in the international field. Why not use that to your resource? So the resources are there. And also, Boomplay, we are here to facilitate collaborations. I'd like just to mention somebody from my team, Elizabeth Karuru, please wave. That's Liz. She's the content acquisition manager. Reach out to her. Put your music on Boomplay. Put your content on Boomplay. Even ask and you shall receive. It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Martha. We only have 5 minutes to go, so I would like to give my panelists each at least a minute to say something as we wrap up the session.
One thing I've learned in this industry is that your network is your network. Use the people around you to grow your talent, your passion. Always ask questions and be open to what you want to receive in this industry. Have ideas of the support that you want to get. So when you're going to a mentor or someone you're looking up to, have the right questions to ask them so that they can know how they're going to support you. Don't assume they're reading your mind. No, come prepared and just choose the right mentors to support what you're doing, because they're out there waiting for you to just approach you. Thank you.
Martha?
Content is king, but context is King Kong. I'll repeat. Content is king, but context is King Kong. Give your content context. Kenyans, East Africans, we're storytellers in whatever we do. We tell a story. So don't be afraid to tell that story behind your content. And also, it's not bragging if it's facts. So don't be afraid to, when you walk into a room, introduce yourself with your chin up. My name is Martha, and I am an artist. And this is what I do. Sawa. And also choose the right partners. Choose the right people to distribute your music. Choose the right people to create your content. Choose the right people to partner with regards to what you want to do. Mic drop.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Jamani, how do I top that? I cannot. So for me, all I can say is first I'll speak as an actor because I get this question a lot. Naulizwa naweza kufanya hivyo hiyo show. Right now with social media, it's about knowing which casting directors to follow. Sababu sisi kama actors, sisi tunajicast, show si yetu. Kuna casting director ambaye kazi yake ni kutafuta the people to be on those shows. And right now they post them on Instagram. And I repost on my stories. If anyone here follows me, you'll see I repost. So I think hata sasa kuna casting ya watoto, you don't have to be even in Nairobi. Sababu squeeze, it's on the phone. Everything is online. Wakikupenda sana performance, I'm not lying, they will fly you to wherever it is. So kitu kimoja, like, just try. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Ukiambiwa no, ni sawa. Next time nitajaribu tena. The next time nitajaribu tena. And with that, you keep getting better. So I would say keep trying, don't stop. Find the right partners with the right vision. When a vision ziko aligned. So that's it.
Great. June.
Wow. Okay. From where I'm seated, I'm going to challenge the creatives. Discipline, consistency, respect, and be very clear with your ask. Sawa, we're very clear with your ask. One thing that has been clarified today by Sarah is that then they're just artists, wanna relax, right? So, at DM, you know what to tell her, right? What shows are coming up? Are there any new opportunities? Not high cutie, are you married? So be very deliberate in what you really want. Take time to find yourself, meaning that go for mentorship. And once you have mentors, don't misuse that opportunity because they are not supposed to define your destination, but they are just guiding you to find yourself, isn't it? So let's be people avoid us, the creatives, a lot because we are not disciplined and maybe we are not even committed and you don't apply yourself. When you're given a role, jitolee uifanye. Na napenda sana vijana wa Swahili pot kwa sababu mnajituma. By the way, and I have to say it from the bottom of my heart, I started my fashion shows in Eldoret and that's where I come from. I moved to the next venue and I found myself in Mombasa last year, and it was one of the most successful events that I've ever held. The event that I hosted here in November has given me 2 gigs in the US. In July, June and July. And I can confirm to you without a doubt, I'm only taking youth from this hub. Kwa sababu ni vijana wanajituma. Mko tu sawa, by the way. The other group of youth that I found very disciplined are Naivasha youth. And I've traveled all over this country supporting innovations. I do not know any part of this country that I've never been to supporting youth, but I've only pointed out Wangapi and a lady video and really perfect it and give the linkages and the opportunities that mentor brings here to go. If you need further engagement with me, even on a personal advice in your career and your creative space, please reach out to me. My point people here is Helen and Mr. Odipo. These are the youth that I work with from here. So join the Creatives Association. Let's grow together. And most importantly, now
Thank you. Now we are moving to the next session. And the next session will be, I would like to have questions from the floor to my panelists so that we are able to respond. And as we do that, just to remind you that we've discussed touching on the key areas of branding in the creative sector, intellectual property, why incentives are critical, We've also discussed co-productions, the media landscape, as well as skills development, among others. So let those questions come. The roving mic. Feel free to direct the question to the specific panelist you would like to listen to.
Okay, my question goes to anyone in the panel can answer it. During the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, let's say back in 2019, towards the end of 2019, we saw like many people using the social media, and then during that time they came up and some of them got jobs just from the social media, as Sarah was saying. And also at the same time, there are also people who go to school to get the same jobs. So like, do you think like maybe a balance can be made between people who are just coming because you find like, say people getting jobs in radio stations maybe, and just from social media, it's actually someone who goes to school for years to get the same job. Do you think a balance can be made in that so that both of them benefit?
Okay. The next question.
Yes, good afternoon. First and foremost, I appreciate the audience. My first question will go to this. I think you responded about branding. And in regards to branding, whereby the lady said that let creatives be creative wherever they go. As much as I'd love to agree with you in this particular aspect, but I would like to recommend that let creative be creative in all aspects except when you're meeting an investor. Because in the world of today, presentation is key. And in terms of presentation, it does not fall only under dressing presentation, but presentation in terms of grooming, the way you express yourself. Because some creatives are very good at expressing themselves while doing the art. But while expressing themselves in communication terms, they struggle with that. And last but not least, preparation, which has already been answered. Kuwa uko prepared. My second question, sasa inakuja kwenye, I like the quote you said, content is key, but context is king. Now you are talking about Nigerian music being everywhere, while Kenyan music barely makes it within our own industry. I don't know, Siwa Target Wow, but Gengeton. They have a very nice, unique music brand. But the message, which takes us to your quote, context and content, or is it content and context doesn't matter. Like, I feel like this is a mismatch that is making our creators in the music industry, especially again, get miss out on even their music being played. Personally, I love their music, but ukiambiwa the meaning of their music, you would be shocked because it's just violence. And this is whereby now I'm asking the audience, what advice would you give our artists so that they can channel relevant music that can be able to be played all over Africa, rather than us complaining that this music is not being played in Kenya and Nigerian music is being played. And I feel like most of our artists, creatives in the music industry are copying hip hop from the US. The hip hop industry is full of abusive words, but that's their culture. Kwa nini tumeacha culture yetu? Why not still adopt our respectful African culture? Because our audience is the African culture. The last question is the dark side of entertainment. I'm very sure you are all conversant with this. The dark side of entertainment, what do I mean by this? Artists being used or taken advantage of. How? Lazima upeane kitu ndio upewe chance to present. Ama upewe position. What advice do you give to creative, other than what you've talked about, protecting your content, which is something that has opened my eyes as a creative, but here to avoid who are taken care of, advantage of, or kutafuta shortcut upeane ndio upewe. And then kutusiana, we've seen our artists, local artists abuse each other all in the name of wengine wanasema cloud chasing, sijui ni nini. So I don't know what advice you have in that particular side of entertainment. Thank you.
We can respond to those ones first. So the first question came from the gentleman there. So we need the mic, the roving mic. That will be responded to by June. Then the second question, I'll ask Martha to handle.
All right, so I guess your question bordered training, skills, and talent. And the best way to answer that is just to give you a scenario, a case study of myself. Growing up, I knew I wanted to be in theater. I associated myself with an actress more than anything else. But immediately after high school, my first job was in the media. So I became a presenter, a radio presenter, and eventually a TV presenter. Then I moved to corporate communications and now marketing, and now back as an investor in the creative space. So what happens is that when you go, you creative is usually innate. First of all, you're born a creative. It's a talent. You're a talanta, sindio? Now, your talent will take you to the next level. The best you can do is to refine your talent, because when you refine your talent, you get chances to be more than just that artist who sings. You get a chance to understand your world better. And I was using that example because after I joined the media, I would have chosen not to go back to school because I was hired for my skills, my talent, isn't it? But I decided to go back to school. Got a degree in PR and communications because really I didn't need a degree to be a journalist. I'm already practicing journalism, isn't it? But that was not enough. I went ahead to master. So I did a master's in communication studies, and that enabled me to move from the newsroom to corporate. So I actually worked for Safaricom. So what does that do to me as a person? It expands my my world, isn't it? And as I was working in Safaricom, I managed to get a chance to move to government to head communications, isn't it? Now, being in government, I'm able to impact more because, first of all, I understand the context. And so I use my content to build relevance through context. And it is just that education, that training that I've done, four things that I'll tell you. Number one is that it allowed me to be appointed to coordinate the establishment of a university of strategic national importance in Konza. I wouldn't have gotten it if I had not gone to school, isn't it? And that university is a STEM university. STEM means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Umesikia mahali nilienda shule ya engineering hapo? Hapana. Si imenipatia opportunity. It exposed me, right? Just that opportunity has enabled me to sit in the table of decision making in different parts of the globe. I can count more than 15 countries that I've been able to visit and sit in the boardroom. Tumeelewana mpaka hapo? It also enabled me to think, and I conceptualized a program called the Konza Innovation Ecosystem Initiative. That is what has given a city a project that is supposed to be brick and mortar audience in a space like Swahili Pot. Tuko pamoja mpaka hapo. So because I was able to translate my skills to context, and that is the only thing that education does for you. So, ndugu, dada, ladies and gentlemen, please, even if you are talented and you have the skills, go to school even for the sake of it. It makes a huge deal of difference. If you are lucky like me to get a job without an education, take it upon yourself to go to school and perfect, because it takes you to the next level. Otherwise, I'll be seated here complaining why people are taking advantage of my talent, isn't it? Good.
Okay, Martha, the next three questions.
Question number one, let creatives be creatives, is exactly what I mean. A creative, as I said, they don't see things on a normal scale. So don't expect a creative to come and do a proposal and present a proposal for you, because it's not in their scope. You can't be a creative, you write your own music, you produce your own music, you mix it and you master it. You're your own manager, you're your own stylist, you're your own designer, you're your own social media manager. Those are too many things for one person. So don't box creative. Let creatives be creatives. As a creative, get a team behind you. Sometimes you don't need a large team. It can be you are making music. You can also be a writer, as songwriter, and a performing artist and a producer, because it's within your scope. But you can't be your own manager. You're negotiating your own deals. Get somebody for that. If you can't get somebody for that, use even your friends. Sometimes artists that I established also come to the office with their friends. This is my friend, but is also my manager. So that's what I meant by let creatives be creatives. Content is king. Content is king. Context is king Kong. Okay? So what I meant with that in terms of context for your question, Gengeton, we've seen Gengeton grow massively. It's not only listened to in Kenya. If you go to Tanzania, they listen to Gengeton. That song for Femi is called Utawezana. Utawezana is very big in TZ. You go to Uganda, Shamra Shamra, Isham Sham Kinyam Kitam Tam Kelele Nanderemo. Is very popular. So it has grown. Yes, the meaning sometimes can be vulgar, but not all Gengeton artists talk vulgar about in their music. Because even the music that we listen to from West Africa, Diamond is very vulgar in all his songs. Yet we listen to those songs religiously, right? So, sorry, I'm not Diamond, but that one, Tetema, oh Mama Tetema, Tetema, yeah, it's very dark song. But it doesn't mean that just because it's that, because we listen, songs have been dirty since time immemorial. Genuine, riding your pony, what does that mean, right? So, what they did is, yes, they started on a very, in terms of, there was vulgar. But now they've refined and they've refreshed. So they've moved with the times. And guess what? That is what the audience wants to listen to, right? Because they can't say it themselves, they want you to say it for you, right? For them, sorry. So I agree with you to some extent, but to some extent I don't agree with you because it is a wave. It's actually a wave. And remember, in Kenya, we don't have an identity of music. We don't have bongo as a genre that identifies us. We don't have amapiano. We don't have Afrobeat. But guess what? We have gengeton, and we are proud of it.
Martha, you made that on the number 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to.
Okay.
Number 3, the dark side of being an artist. You don't have to give in because guess what? We don't have one producer, neither do we have one filmmaker, neither do we have one manager. We have multiple, neither do we have one label. We have multiple. So if one says no, it does not mean that the next will say no. And if you get 10 no's, don't say that this is the end of my career and give up. Sometimes it takes a while to make it into the market. We all know who Wizkid is, right? Right now we know him. Wizkid used to carry speakers for Don Jazzy when he started out. And that was like 15 years ago. Right now he's filling up arenas. So don't give up that because somebody has said no. And don't give in because, they want sexual favors or they want money. If that is not, there's no if. That is not your culture, move on to the next one. And this, I would like to call on to the people who do that. As creatives, even here, I'm sure we're well represented with other people. Don't do such things because you are the one who's propagating and killing the industry. Instead of killing the industry, build it. Strive to build the industry.
Thank you very much. Makofi kwake. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my panelists and just summarize what we've discussed. That this afternoon we've had a candid discussion around the creative sector, touching on various topical issues, ranging from funding, policies, we're talking about branding, packaging, why we need to be ourselves. We've been reminded by Martha that we need to let creatives be creative, but don't work alone. Work with your collaborators, because on your own you cannot succeed. You need to work with those people who will be able to support you. And also remember, partnerships are critical. For you to be able to move from Mombasa to Nairobi, you need somebody to take you there, either as a driver or a pilot. The same thing applies in the creative sector. We've learned that there is greater recognition and of impact and role of investors in our space of operation, clear alignment between policies, decision makers, stakeholders, and industry players. We've also appreciated the need for us to put in place incentives that will be able to accelerate the development and growth of this sector. Other than that, a supportive regulatory framework is critical. With those and many more other discussions that we've had this afternoon, let's appreciate my panelists one more. And appreciate ourselves as well as a great audience. Thank you very much for listening. That marks the end of this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Timothy, you are not entertaining them. You are not dancing.
Thank you so much. They want to dance. DJ number nipatie ngoma. Ngojeni hapo hapo.
Panelists would like to dance.
Oh yeah, thank you for
Give
beginning
them a song.
DJ. I was joking.
Let them dance.
Hey, kila mtu asimame. Eso sana. Asanteni sana, thank you so much. Thank you. Asanteni sana. It's time for lunch. I'm sure if you've been here for the last 3 days, you know the deal. So all the paid delegates plus our panelists, naomba tafadhali tuteremke tuende kule kwa exhibitions, the tent hapo nyuma for lunch. Now all the paid delegates plus our panelists, all the VIPs, naomba tafadhali behind the exhibitions, we go for lunch. The rest of us, thank you, make sure you get a milk card for your lunch. Asanteni sana, let's meet. There's another panel conversation about to happen here on this same place. So, looking forward to the afternoon session. Asanteni sana.